When someone you like suddenly seems distant, it might not be a sign they dislike you, but rather that they're starting to fall for you. Their messages get shorter, their replies take longer. The kindness you knew now feels like a subtle barrier. If you're thinking of someone like that right now, that feeling of unease isn't just in your head. They've become quiet because of how their heart works. The more they want to get closer, the more they might pull away. The fact that you noticed such a small shift means you've been watching them with genuine care. People with an avoidant tendency are calm with those they're not interested in. Their inner world only stirs when they're with someone truly important. The desire to approach and the fear of it both surge at once. This kind of push and pull is said to be strongest between 3 months and half a year into a connection. That's why the people we care about the most can sometimes feel distant. It's actually proof that your wavelengths are deeply resonating. You feel safe with them, yet a sense of restlessness can surface too. That inner flutter wouldn't happen with someone you didn't have a real connection with. When someone you care about starts to pull away, let's gently explore what's happening deep within their heart. We'll look at how their feelings might shift 3 weeks and then 3 months after they've created that space. If you stay with me until the end, you'll see that their apparent distance takes on a completely different meaning. First, there's something crucial I want to share with you. We can always be our natural selves around people we don't deeply care about. You don't stumble over your words when chatting with a friendly colleague, and your voice doesn't tremble in front of a convenience store clerk. With someone you have no real stake or expectation from, your heart remains at ease. But when it comes to someone you hold dear, things change. The moment you realize you don't want to lose them, your heart quietly tenses up. You might find yourself fumbling for words, or feeling a bit distant. It's as if you can't be as open and honest as you'd like, and it surprises even you. So, this perceived coldness isn't a sign of disinterest. In fact, the opposite is often true. They care so much that they struggle to handle it gracefully. They want to get closer, but the thought of doing so feels overwhelmingly scary. That internal conflict, that feeling of being torn, can come across as coolness. People with an avoidant attachment style feel this very strongly. It's precisely because they like you that they pull away. They act like they don't want something, even when they really do. They can't even articulate this internal conflict themselves. Sometimes, they'll even subtly test you. They wonder if you'll still like them if they act distant. Will you still stay close even if they put some space between you? It's just a small, unconscious way of checking in. They don't intend to make things difficult for you. They're just trying to protect themselves from getting hurt by pulling away first. It might seem surprising, but those who distance themselves are often the loneliest deep down. They truly want you near, but they're afraid to say it. A brave face and deep loneliness coexist within them. One study suggests about 1 in 4 people have this tendency. If the person you're drawn to is one of them, doesn't the meaning behind their distant behavior shift a little? So, why does this happen? To understand, we need to go back to their childhood. In childhood, when we felt safe enough to lean on someone, when you've felt truly accepted, that's what helps you open up to others. But if those moments of vulnerability were met with rejection, a quiet conclusion starts to form deep inside. It's safer to stay alone than get too close and risk getting hurt. That old belief gently takes root within you. Even as you grow older, this conclusion continues to live on, even when you've long forgotten the original pain. But when you truly start to care for someone, it suddenly reappears. Your present desire to connect clashes with your past memory of hurt, both rising up and confronting each other within. The action born from that internal conflict is creating distance. It might be reaching out less often, or keeping replies short, or perhaps finding excuses to postpone meeting up. It doesn't mean they've started to dislike you. It's just that your desire to be close has grown, and with it, fear. Please, first, receive this gently. Their quietness isn't because they find you unappealing, or because you've done something wrong. Quite the opposite, it's precisely because they see you as special. That their old, dormant fears have stirred once more. It's really as simple as that. Let's look at how that coldness actually shows up. We'll see what's happening behind each of these changes. The first is a shift in how they communicate. Messages that were once long suddenly become brief and distant. Then there's an awkward pause after they've read your message before replying. Emojis and softer language start to gradually disappear. And seeing this, you might feel the connection has cooled. But within avoidant personalities, something else is happening. The more important the message from someone they care about, the harder it is to know how to respond. They don't want to say something awkward and be disliked. They don't want to be seen as too intense. They overthink it, and their reply ends up sounding colder than intended. Some people can't seem to smile naturally when they're with someone they like. The more their heart is stirred by someone, the more their expression tightens. The exact same thing can happen in text exchanges. A short reply isn't necessarily proof that they've lost interest. It might actually be a sign they're overthinking it and struggling to find the right words. They might write and delete, sending only a brief phrase. That seemingly cold, short message is the one they've spent the most time crafting. Sometimes, things just quietly happen. The second sign is when plans start to become less definite. You say, "I'll be in touch," but no specific date is set. You say you want to see them, but scheduling never moves forward. It's easy to assume this means there are no feelings involved. But for someone who wants to create distance, making concrete plans can feel like handing over a piece of their heart, and that's scary. Making a promise can create expectations in the other person. And with expectations comes the fear of not being able to meet them. So, unconsciously, they postpone commitment. It's a little like that feeling on the train home from work, when you know you should reply, but you put your phone back in your pocket. It's not because they don't want to, but because they care so much, they fear facing it. That tiny fear gently stops them from acting. Not setting a date doesn't mean they're not interested. It's an emotional break, a fear of taking that step. The third sign is a shift in closeness when you're together. Eye contact becomes less frequent than before. Even when they seem happy, you sense a faint wall between you. They might suddenly go quiet or act a little distant. It's a natural reaction that often happens right after our hearts feel truly close. You feel happy, comfortable, and just want things to stay this way forever. And it's precisely when that happiness starts to grow. The fear of losing it all can suddenly rush in. That's why, after the happiest moments, we often feel the urge to pull away. We get close, then retreat, opening up only to close off again. This back and forth isn't about being fickle. It's evidence of a struggle between wanting to be near and being afraid. This wavering doesn't happen with just anyone. It occurs with someone your heart truly feels a deep pull towards. The more in sync you are, the more your heart is profoundly stirred. Being with them brings comfort, yet also a sense of unease. That subtle agitation wouldn't arise with a connection that's superficial. The fourth sign is the timing of their messages. Just when you try to distance yourself, they suddenly reach out. And when you move closer, they quietly fade away again. It's as if they're trying to maintain a specific distance. It's a dynamic of pushing when they pull, and wanting to chase when you push away. Getting too close can feel scary, making you want to retreat. But completely pulling away can then make you anxious and want to return. We're unconsciously searching for a comfortable distance. If they suddenly reach out, it's their way of meeting you halfway. It's their way of saying they don't want to break the connection with you. A clumsy way of reaching out. Now we've glimpsed what's behind that coolness. So, when they actually create distance, how does their heart move afterward? Let's trace that journey together, over time. Right after creating distance, their heart is very quiet. They feel a sense of relief, like they can finally be alone. They might even feel like they can finally breathe. It's the pushback from getting too close, their heart needing space. During this time, they might seem surprisingly fine. Not contacting you, not showing any concern. Seeing this, you might feel it's really over. But this quiet isn't because they've settled down. It's just their exhausted heart taking a break from being too close. Like the sea being calm for a while after a storm. The heart, too, wants a brief calm after getting too close. Don't mistake that stillness for an ending. Even a calm sea eventually begins to move again. Around 3 weeks later, small changes start to appear. As you get used to time alone, you suddenly begin to feel an emptiness. On a quiet Sunday morning, when you make yourself a cup of coffee, you realize that at this exact time, you used to get a casual message. When you want to share your thoughts on a movie you just finished, their face is the first one that comes to mind. Though you might not even think of them usually. It's only in the quiet of being alone that your absence seeps in. You can pretend not to notice during busy times. But when night falls and things get quiet, it reappears. You thought you'd feel more at ease with some distance, but only the unfilled void quietly remains in your heart. At this point, you can't quite name these feelings. It's a time of carrying that vague sense of longing. Around 3 months later, that longing starts to take a clearer shape. We often realize the magnitude of what we've lost only later. The sense of comfort that felt so natural when you were together. The time you could just be next to each other without overthinking. That feeling of being accepted just as you are. You only truly grasp how rare it was when you're actually apart. Around this time, they'll suddenly think of you, recalling casual conversations, small exchanges. And then, somewhere, they'll start to regret the distance. Beneath a seemingly indifferent facade, their heart was quietly stirring. In a convenience store at night, they might pause, seeing a similar back. For some reason, their eyes will follow people wearing similar styles. In these small moments, they're reminded of you. Those who seemed cold at first often feel the deepest pull later on. This isn't unusual at all. Still, they can't bring themselves to act right away. Will they be bothered if I contact them now? After leaving like that, what could I possibly say? The more they think this, the more their fingers hesitate. The desire to see you clashes with the feeling that they have no face to show. This goes back and forth in their mind for days. Behind that calm silence, the one truly unsettled is often the one who created the distance. Try to recall the view you used to share. You only saw someone who seemed distant to you. At the same time, their own world was unfolding differently. You wanted to get closer, but fear kept your heart in a spin. Behind that perceived coldness, a silent struggle was hidden. These two different perspectives are finally beginning to align. You were never doing anything wrong. Their inner turmoil just appeared as distance to you. That's all there was to it. So, you don't have to keep searching for what you lack. It's okay to stop looking for that answer. What was there wasn't your fault at all. It was simply a shared awkwardness from both sides. Let me share something important with you now. If a connection is truly meant to be, it will find its way back in some form. But it might not come back in the exact same way. Sometimes, you'll reconnect as the same people again. Other times, you'll find a more secure relationship. And sometimes, it might appear as an entirely new encounter. So, it's okay to let go of holding on for them to return. What you need to do isn't about trying to change their heart. Simply gently turn your attention back to your own everyday life. When you loosen your grip, what you need will naturally find its way to you. So, let's talk about what you can start doing from tonight. Nothing complicated is required at all. If you receive a distant message from someone you care about, try setting aside, just for a moment, that urge to reply immediately. Wait until the next day, then respond with a calm heart. Just doing that alone creates breathing room in your own mind. When you stop chasing, something beautiful can happen. The other person's heart, which might have felt guarded, begins to find a sense of peace. When you stop pushing, you create space for them to come closer. This isn't about playing games or manipulating anyone. It's simply about you reclaiming your own sense of calm. That stillness in you will ripple outwards, reaching them too. And one more thing, on those nights when contact is scarce, instead of dwelling on them, allow yourself time to unwind. Try making yourself a warm cup of tea, slowly and with intention. Or simply listen to one favorite song, quietly. Just these small acts can help you release what you've been holding on to. There's just one small thing to be mindful of here. When they grow quiet, it's easy to feel anxious and want to reach out. You might find yourself sending message after message, needing reassurance. And that feeling of unease? It's completely understandable. But for someone who fears closeness, feeling you press in too hard can make them want to pull away even more. Words of blame, or too many probing questions, can gently close the door to their heart. So, especially when you feel anxious, try easing your grip just a little. This isn't about giving up, or about settling for less. It's about creating space for them to safely come back to you. We've explored this together, up to this point. Their distance wasn't a sign they disliked you. It was a sign of their inner conflict, wanting to be close, but also being afraid. And that inner conflict arose precisely because they saw you as special. You've been hurt by their perceived coldness for so long, never truly knowing how they felt. You searched for answers alone, enduring long nights. But those times weren't wasted. Because you're someone who can think this deeply, you can also be gentle towards the pain of others. even if your heart is still unsettled right now. That's completely natural. It's okay not to force an answer by tonight. The fact that you can care for someone this deeply is because you've cherished them from the bottom of your heart. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the way you feel, regardless of whether they return to you. You are worthy of being cherished. A relationship where you can be yourself, laughing together without reservation, is truly waiting for you ahead. What you were really looking for wasn't just the answer of whether they'd come back. It's a connection where you can feel truly at ease, without pretense. You'll be able to choose that kind of connection from now on. Lastly, if you like, try repeating this to yourself. I will patiently choose connections that bring me peace, and I will fully embrace those who choose to be with me. Try writing these words in the comments below. Putting them into words might just lighten your heart a little. That one simple phrase can carry you through to tomorrow. If tonight, the meaning of their silence feels just a little different, take that new understanding with you into your day tomorrow. You've come this far, so there's no need to rush. Your evening will unfold at your own pace.